everybody. My name is Darla and I teach yoga at Serasana. I'm so happy you decided to join our yin practice today. So I like to get started by getting ourselves centered. And feel free to use any of your props that you have in your yin practice for sitting. If you want to sit on your bolster or your blanket, feel free to do that so that you can get a little bit more comfortable, and it can also allow you to sit a little bit taller. So when we sit on the very edge of our blanket, it allows the pelvis to tilt forward, helps the spine to get nice and long. So let's begin. Let the eyes close. Relax the face and the jaw. Notice how you're breathing. Just take some nice deep full breaths any way you want to breathe. Maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth, maybe just in and out through the nose, your choice. To let thoughts and worries leave your mat. No need to hang on to them during your practice. See if you can just keep coming back to how you're breathing every time those thoughts start to come in to the mind, and they will. We're human, and that's just what we do. We think. So try to let the thinking mind let go of the thoughts and come back to the breath. Our quote today is from Judith Lassiter. It goes like this. Yoga is not about touching your toes. It's about what you learn on the way down. And slowly start to release the hands onto the knees. Begin to move the head and the neck in any direction that feels good to you. I love starting out my practice with just moving the head, letting the neck relax, keeping that spine nice and tall so the breath has a lot of room to move through the body. Back up to a neutral position. Alright, so we'll begin our practice today in caterpillar. Caterpillar is also known as a forward fold. So feel free to use your blanket if you want to keep lifted up. I myself am going to do that. We're going to be using our bolster, or again, if you don't have a bolster, a cushion or pillow or another rolled blanket is perfectly fine. All right, so coming into our caterpillar, we'll be bringing the bolster or the blanket right underneath the legs. So we want the heels to be able to touch. I'm kind of short, so I have to get really close up here. And then we'll start to just fold forward. So we want to really get nice and tall here. And instead of just rounding the back and folding forward, I want you to think about getting tall. Think of letting the belly come onto the legs so that the heart leads way out, and then the body just softly drapes down the legs. You're just going to come as far as you want. Now, if you need some support here for the head, you can always take your block and you can just hold your block at any level. You can also bring the elbows right below the knees on the shins and rest the head here. You can rest the head on folded arms. Any of those will work. Now, Another option, if you have really tight shoulders, if you're holding a lot of tension in the shoulders, while you're in your caterpillar, feel free to eagle the arms. So you'll be bringing one arm underneath the other, getting tall with the elbows. And again, you're leaning it forward before you ever come down. And then you can round and you can rest the head on the biceps if you want. Or again, you can place your block underneath the elbows and you can just rest here. So if you have the eagle arms, you'll be feeling this in the shoulders. We're all feeling it in the low back. And if you feel like that you would like to stretch into the hamstrings, at any point when you want to move this bolster, feel free to lift the legs, move the bolster away, extend the legs out, and then the same thing. Take the time to really get tall and then allow the body to come forward and then down. So this is a very intense hamstring stretch if you don't use the bolster. So please listen to your body if your hamstrings are not ready for this. You just bend the knees, or again, place a block if that's better for you underneath the legs. And just allow yourself to rest and to breathe. And slowly start to make your way back up. You want to pause here. If you have a prop underneath your legs, just move the prop off to the side, bring the legs back down, sit nice and tall. Try to be very still. We're allowing all of the synovial fluid that we just compressed from the joint to be released throughout the legs and the connective tissues. Then we can start making some movements. So if you want to bring the hands behind you, maybe lift the heart up, squeeze the shoulder blades, take the gaze wherever you'd like. And then you can round the back, tuck the chin, make movements here with the feet, the toes, and the legs. Good. All right, now from a caterpillar, what comes from the caterpillar? It's butterfly. So now we're going to do the butterfly. All right. So we'll be again using our bolster. We're going to use both blocks. And our class today, our Yin class, we're focusing on the back. So if you're having any back pain, hopefully these poses will relieve that. All right, so we're going to take the bolster. We're going to place the bolster at the low back. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together. Knees are open wide. And you're going to place the block under each knee. So hold on to the bolster so it can't move, and then slowly begin to just let that spine come down one vertebrae at a time onto the bolster. So we have a nice little back bend here, a nice heart opener. You can bring the arms out to a T. You can bring one hand to the heart, one on the belly to follow the breath, or you can just let the hands gently rest on the rib cage. Feel free to keep your eyes closed as much as you'd like during our practice today. And then as the body begins to open, as the hips and the groin begin to open, maybe you want to lower the blocks a little bit, or maybe after a while you don't need the blocks, and then that's perfectly fine. You can move the blocks away. But it's important that you feel very supported in all of your poses in Yin. So we don't want to use the muscles. We want to allow the support from our props and from our hands. And then we'll slowly start to roll to one side, and we're just going to push our bolster out of the way. Come back onto the back. Extend the legs out. Be very still. And then begin to make whatever movements you want. When you have a tight back, when you windshield wiper the legs, generally that feels really good. And you can try it both ways. You can try with the feet together and the knees together, and then just allow the knees to go gently side to side. Sometimes having the feet together will feel better. Or you can also experiment with opening the knees wide, one foot on each side of the mat, and then letting the knees go from side to side and really stretch out through that top leg. So when you go to the left, really stretch out through that right quad, into the psoas, around into the low back, and bring it back to center. When you go to the right, and really press down with that left. And back to center. And heel toe, the feet closer in. Let's give ourselves a big squeeze here. And then we'll come into a Sphinx pose. So we're going to slowly start to roll over onto the belly. So in our Sphinx pose, we've got some options here. You can start in your low Sphinx by coming onto the belly and then lifting up onto the rib cage, extending the arms straight out in front of you, keeping the arms lifted. Gaze can be straight ahead, or if your neck is feeling okay, you may want to tuck the chin. Maybe turn the head and the neck side to side to stretch into the neck. So this is a modified version. You're still getting a nice bend in the back, but it's a lower back bend. If you want to come into your Sphinx pose, you'll start to draw the elbows underneath the shoulders so that the arms are more at a 90-degree angle. And then just barely inch the elbow slightly in front of the shoulder. Alright, same thing with the gaze. You can look straight ahead, or you can tuck the chin and turn the head side to side. So this is a nice back bend. It's really very great to keep the spine healthy. And we'll stay here and breathe. Now, if you have any back pain, you may want to engage the glutes and the quads, and that can take a lot of pressure off your low back. Otherwise, you can just relax the glutes, relax the quads, and breathe. And then slowly start to release it all the way down. If you want to stack the arms, rest the forehead there, maybe turn the head side to side, shift the hips a little side to side, maybe bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs. And then let's come into a child's pose. So very gently start to push yourself back. And we're going to bring the hips down towards the heels. If you want to stretch into the back, keep your knees together. If you want to open into the hips, you can open the knees wide and let the torso come down in between the thighs. If you want to use your bolster here, you can open the legs and let the bolster come in between the thighs. And then again, we're just going to drape down. You can turn the head either side and just relax here. Focus on your breath. slowly start to make your way back up. Take your time. And you can move your bolster off to the side. We'll start to come back to a seated position. And we will be using our bolster again. So make sure you keep your props, all your props close by. All right, so our next pose we're coming into is called deer pose. So we'll take the right heel, bring the right heel up to the right hip and the left foot on top of that right thigh. Now, if this does not feel good to your knees, you can always bring the legs just more to like a 90-degree angle, and that's going to be perfectly fine. I'll show you what we'll be doing. All right, so we're going to take our bolster. We're going to place the bolster right about to that left hip. And then sitting nice and tall, we'll start to square the shoulders and the chest over this bolster. So we don't want to just come down onto the side ribs. We want to actually turn the body, and when we do, this hip is going to lift up, and that's okay. So we want to get tall through the spine, start to square the chest, and then let the belly just start to drape down, and you can relax onto the bolster here. So this is a wonderful stretch for the entire low back here. Now, if you want to go deeper in this pose, legs stay the same. We just keep moving the bolster around towards the back of the mat. So just keep moving the bolster around, but be sure that you can square up. If you can't square the chest and the shoulders, you've probably come a little bit too far. So make sure that you can square up, and then again, fold it down. Rest the head in any way that you want. and then begin to walk the hands back towards you. Now keep the legs where they are. We'll give the quads a little bit of a stretch while we're here. So you can use your bolster here if you want. You can, we're going to start to lean back. So you've got an option of either bringing the bolster to the spine. I'll turn sideways here so you can see. So if you want to bring it along the spine and lean back, you'll get a nice stretch through the quad. If you want to bring the bolster to the hips, you'll turn it sideways, bring it up here, and you're going to get a nice back bend and heart opener along with your stretch through the quad. And if you don't want to use either of them, you can always just come down onto the elbows, onto the forearms, maybe all the way down onto the back. That's going to be your choice. And then we'll just stay here and breathe for a while. And then when you're ready, slowly start to make our way back up, pushing yourself up. And then again, we're going to let the hands do the work here. So we'll unwind the legs, extend the legs straight out. Pause here for a moment. And bring the hands behind you. Lift the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades, take the gaze wherever you like. Exhale, round the back, tuck the chin. Keep losing my little microphone. All right, and we're going to do that same thing on the other side, our deer pose. So taking left heel up to the left hip, right foot comes on top of the left thigh. Take your bolster over to the right hip. Get really tall here. Start to walk the hands around. And then really square those shoulders and the chest up over this bolster. As you lower yourself down, take your time. And relax the head in any way you want. Continue to take your bolster around towards the back of your mat if that is accessible to you, making sure that you can square up over the bolster as you lower down. slowly start to push your way back up. Take your time. Keep the legs exactly as they are. And then you decide how you want to use your bolster. If you want it along the spine, if you want it perpendicular to the spine so it's down by the hips, or if you don't want to use it at all. And then just relax all the way down. And we'll stay here and breathe. Remember to listen to your body. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Things may be uncomfortable in our yin practice, and that's a different story. So if it's uncomfortable, see if you can stay with it. But if it's painful, definitely come out of it. We don't want any pain in our yin practice. And then we'll slowly start to come back up. Begin to push your way up. And then we'll let the hands do the work to unwind our legs. And we'll sit nice and tall. Bring the hands behind you, lift the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades, counter pose to our forward folding in our deer pose. And then round the back, tuck the chin, make movements here with the feet, the toes, ankles, legs, shoulders, head and neck. All right, now we're going to come into our seated. I don't know why I have a hard time with this one. Seated butterfly pose. So what we did on our back was our reclined one, and we got to open the heart center with our bolster. This one, if you want to sit on your blanket, feel free to sit on the edge of your blanket. Again, we're going to use the blocks underneath the knees to begin, and then if you don't need them, you can get rid of them. So we want to be sure that the soles of the feet are together, and then you can decide how far you want to bring the heels in. So the closer the heels are to the groin, or into the groin, the more you're going to feel that stretch through the groin. If you move your feet away, you're going to feel it more in the hips and the glutes. So that's going to be your choice here. All right, so bring the feet where you want, bring the blocks underneath the knees. Now we want to get really tall in the spine. So we don't want to round, we don't want to bring the shoulders up to the ears. We lose all kinds of stretching that way. So we're going to get really tall, and we're just going to start to lean. So we're keeping that spine nice and long. If you want to hold on to the feet here, you can. And we're just going to lean it down. So it's almost like you're looking at your reflection in a pond. And we're going to stay here and breathe. If you want to rest your head on anything, you can take your bolster. You can rest your head on your bolster. You can cross the arms and rest there. Once you find where you can get a really good stretch, then if you want to round into it, you can. If you want to walk the hands out in front of you, feel free to do that. And breathe. And then slowly start to walk the hands back up. Pause here for a moment. And then we're going to lift one knee, slide that block away. Lift the other knee, slide that block away. And then we'll let the hands bring the knees in and extend the legs out. Pause here, be very still. And then begin to make whatever movements you want. All right. Let's come on to the back. Again, take your props with you. We're going to come onto the back. We'll first draw the knees in and just give that low back a stretch. Now, sometimes, depending on what's happening in your back, sometimes it feels better if you really bring the knees in tight and you let the tailbone and the low back lift up. Sometimes it feels better if the tailbone and low back stay on the mat so that the knees are more in alignment with the hips. So just kind of play around, explore, be curious about your body and what feels best. And let's windshield wiper. So one foot on each side of the mat. Let the knees just go side to side. And then begin to heel toe the feet back together. And we're going to take a little twist here. So open the arms to a T. We'll cross the left knee over the right. Now lift the hips up and move the hips over to the left. And then we're going to let the knees just gently fall to the right. So this is where you may want to use your block or your bolster or a blanket or something underneath the knees so that you don't have to use muscles to support. They've got support here. If you need something underneath your shoulder blade, under that left shoulder blade, maybe you need a blanket or something to cushion under the shoulder blade, feel free to get that. So we want to be really as comfortable as we can in all of our poses. I know that's not easy to do, but that's why we have lots and lots of props. And very slowly start to come back to center. Help the legs with the hands. Square the hips, uncross the legs, extend the legs out. Be still here for a moment. And then make your movements here. And we'll take our twists over on the other side. So arms out to your T, crossing the right knee over the left, hips lift up and move them to the right. Allow the knees to gently fall to the left, using whatever props you need underneath the leg. Maybe something under the shoulder, maybe not. And breathe. It's really important in our Yin poses, once we get into a pose, try to be very still. You really want the body to relax and open on its own. We want to just become still. center. Help the knees with the legs with the hands. Square the hips, uncross the legs, extend the legs straight out on your mat. Being still, just noticing the benefits of the pose. And then any last minute moves your body needs before we come into Shavasana. You need to take a little twist, a little rock side to side, or maybe a happy baby, whatever your body says it needs, then please feel free to do that pose. And when you're ready, we'll begin to make our way into Shavasana. Using any of the props that you choose. Let the legs and feet just relax and open naturally. Arms are by your side with the palms facing up. Maybe lifting up slightly and snuggling the shoulder blades under you a little bit more. Eyes are closed. Face is relaxed. And allow yourself to just rest for the next few moments. Begin to deepen the breath as you bring your awareness back to your mat. Moving your fingers and your toes. Draw the knees into the chest. Roll to one side. Rest your head on your arm for a moment. And come to a seated position with the eyes still closed. Yoga is not about touching your toes. It's about what you learn on the way down. Bring the hands to the heart center. We'll chant Om one time. Inhale to chant. Thank all of you for joining me in practice today. I'd like for you to thank yourselves for showing up on your mat Thank your body for all the amazing things it does for you every day. I wish for you Shanti, peace in your soul, Santosha, contentment for your life, and I pray that you always honor the Satya, the truth that's in your heart. Namaste. So I thank all of you for joining me in class today. I hope you learned some things. I hope that your back feels better if it was bothering you. And I hope to see you again at the next video.